It's the one thing I have going for me. Is my willingness to be messy in public. Hi, everybody. It is Christy and Queen Wheeler again tonight with our fourth and final, for now at least, hard conversation. We are having tonight, our loose topic is white guilt and racism. And we're just going to take this thing for one more spin.
For one more spin. I will be doing two more up to the program. So tomorrow night and the night after that, I was gonna Leah has already said that she's in. Amy said that she can. You want to jump in?
Which night? Both nights? I can do Monday. I can't do tomorrow. I've already got plans with the fam.
All right. It's gonna be at 6:00 your time too.
Is it? Okay.
But yeah, 6:00 your time. But anyway, yeah, cool then Monday.
Good. I'll be there.
Yeah. So I will be doing two more nights, y'all. Two more nights, Sunday and Monday. Yes, before the program kicks off. And let me just say up front for those of you who have already signed up, and thank you. I'm really excited about this, y'all, because I'm telling you, it's good. I'm not sure if it's going to be what people expect.
That doesn't matter.
But it's good, right?
Yeah.
It's good, and it's what's needed.
Yes.
What's necessary. I've been working all day to make sure that I'm bringing you the best of what I have, and that it's going to be impactful, and not just impactful, but useful.
Right.
Okay. Like, this is not just something else that you do to make yourself feel better. No, it has to be useful so that you can put something out into the world to let the world know that you've been here, and that is not the same when you leave. So yes, it's shaping up really nicely. For those of you who've already signed up, you should have received an email, except if you signed up today. And I know that at least one person has signed up today. You'll be getting yours shortly. But those of you who have already signed up, you should be getting an email. If you do not see the email, please check your spam, because it's my first time emailing you. It might go into your spam box. So just check your junk mail. And if you haven't gotten anything, email me at queen@queenwheeler.com, and I'll make sure it gets resent. All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
Tell me what you're guilty about.
Oh my gosh. Where do let's go ahead and say this is no longer going to be a 1 hour. No. I've been thinking about this topic in my brain all day, just like trying to figure out all the ways and all the places. And what strikes me is I feel, one, I deal with a lot of guilt in general that isn't really helpful or purposeful. It's, I think it's a bit of a distraction. And I know that regarding guilt, my position professionally in general is not just white guilt, but guilt in general is that it is only as useful as you use it. Right? So if you have done something and you need to make amends, or you need to learn to do better, then it's useful in that it's a weight, it's a heaviness to help us change our behavior. But the moment that we have accepted that invitation, it's just, it just backfires, and it causes more pain for us and for people around us. And so that's what I was like, okay, that's how I feel about guilt in general. And so then I was like, okay, white guilt. And I'm not sure that it's terribly different. So I think that's where I am to start. But what do I feel guilty about? Regarding white guilt, I feel guilty about.
And you don't have to actually feel guilty.
Yeah.
I'm asking you, if you had to guess at what deserves guilt,
yeah,
this conversation of racism, what would it be?
I would say willful ignorance. When you've been invited to the table and you've been, in a position to do better and learn more, and you take a pass, I think that the weight of that is useful. because it's so vitally important, not just for other people's lives, but like for our own lives, that we grow the hell up and deal with what's been given to us. But I know that I don't feel as much of it today, but 5 years ago, before I started doing any learning and stuff, there was a lot of guilt about, I felt terribly guilty when Trayvon Martin was killed, because I mentioned the other night that my son was a few years younger, wore a hoodie every day, ate literally Skittles in that same exact can of tea, and could go anywhere and do anything he wanted. And I felt a lot of guilt about the fact that he could just be safe, and that Trayvon Martin couldn't just do what my son does every day and be safe. I felt guilty about the way that he was treated after he was killed, like the way he was displayed as someone who maybe deserved that or was suspicious, but he attacked, he who shall not be named. Like there's just, that was sort of probably the beginning of that guilt train of just feeling really powerless. And there was.
So would you say it was more powerless than guilt, or like define guilt for me? Like when you think of white guilt, what does that mean?
White guilt feels gosh, I'm not sure if I'm going to be useful here. It means, for me, it's like shame. It's probably some, not powerlessness as much now, but it used to be a lot of like, I don't know how to fix this, but it didn't even necessarily launch me into figuring out how to do other things right. That took several more years before I took any action. I just sort of wallowed in the misery of not being able to do anything about that. And didn't even recognize that there was so much I could do about that inside of myself. It was many years later before I started actually figuring out that there was stuff I could do, action I could take. I don't know. I'm not feeling like I have a ton of.
What was the shame connected to?
Definitely not knowing, not doing more, not being able to stop that, because I knew that was happening in that story, but it was also happening to that one Black family in my community. It was happening to people I care for. I have a niece and nephew that are Black that I'm not very connected to because of my relationship with their mom. But like, just being so, I suddenly could feel how blind I had been, and I felt careless. I felt selfish. I felt self-absorbed. Like I had just been not caring about all the pain that people were in part because I didn't know what to do about it, but in part because I just didn't have to do anything about it. Like if I'm, being honest, I can see that now in hindsight. It wasn't like I ever intentionally thought that, but in hindsight, I can see that it was just privilege. Just, I didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah. That's what makes me so curious about the idea of guilt, white guilt, right? It makes me very curious about that because a couple things. One, I know that the white community, or whiteness period in this country, is a very individualized concept. Like everything is about the individual. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yes.
What you believe you achieve, what you are the creator of your own destiny. You are the creator of your own life. Very individualized, right?
Right.
Whereas when you look at the Black community has always been treated as a group.
Right.
We do everything as a group. So we're looked at as a group. Whether we're individuals or not, we've been groupatized.
Right.
And so I think often that causes, so for instance, if we see, if something happens and it's horrible, we take on ownership of it as a group. We be like, as soon as we hear something, it's like, oh my God, were they Black? Because that determines like, okay, is this on us? Right? It's like,
Yeah.
it's on us. Oh, who did that? And most of the time, like if it's something crazy, like somebody went out and was a serial killer or just went and shot up a place, 9.9 times out of 10, we know probably wasn't Black. We know who it
Oh,
was.
right.
However, we'll still ask, Lord, please tell me he wasn't Black. Right? Because we're immediately ready to take on ownership.
Right.
On behalf of the whole community. It's like,
and don't you think we do that to you as well?
Well, that's why we do it.
Right.
It's a side effect of being
Right.
treated as a group.
Right.
Well, you know what? I take that back. I just said that through my white lens. That's not true. Now that has added to it, right? However, based off of what I know about who we were before we became the enslaved, forever tattooed with the enslaved, the group, right? The tribe was central. And so, yes, the spiritual structure, the spiritual systems of Africans called for us to visualize all symbols as a group, right? So if one person had an issue, we had an issue.
Right.
It was just an outcry to tell us there's a sickness in the group, right? And so that's where you get so many beautiful African proverbs from, is from that notion of the group, right? So, however, on this side of the water, I think it has turned in on us.
Yes.
Versus it being something where we look at as part of our tradition or our medicine or our spiritual connection. We look at it as a threat because were they Black? So that we can take ownership is, were they Black? Because if they were, we need to know, do we all need to lock up our houses? Do we all need to get safe? Because they're coming, right? Because they're coming. They're coming in their hoods, or they're coming in their blue cars with lights, or they're coming on horseback with hoods on. But either way, they're coming, right?
And so you will all receive the consequence of that one person's actions.
Exactly. Right. So so because of that, there is a ownership of whatever one Black person does, that we all kind of, now mind you, I'm sure there are some Black people out there like, I don't. Yeah, you probably don't, especially if you have been in the white world long enough to where you have put on the white lens and you have disconnected from your people. I'm not talking to you. So this ain't that, you're not the person that I'm talking to. However, I do want you to come on back home. Let me just say that. Let me just put that in there. I do want you to come on back home. And that's why I mention these things, because there are things that we as Black people never question. Why do we do that? Where did that come from? Right? We even question, where did that come from? Why do we all say that or do that and not realize that it comes from the trauma of being ancestors of being children of the enslaved, So yeah, but that just makes me, it made me curious about, okay, because a white man can do something and he is an individual and he's also always mentally ill.
Yeah.
Like no matter what, no
individual. Matter what. Yeah.
Like, mental, all of a sudden everybody is in a conversation of, oh, well, mental wellness is very important because there's a lot of mental illness. What? Black men do this. Crime is out of this world.
Yeah.
Crime and violence is just out of it. White men go in and wipe out. Because white men, when they go in, they don't pick off one. Right? They don't pick off one person. They go in and they will kill up a whole, they make sure as many people in there as possible. So they can go in and do as much damage as possible with as much artillery as possible. So, and they're never considered part of a group. Even if they are. Like they can write a manifesto and say,
right.
And say, "Dear America, this is on behalf of this group," and we'll still, and the news will still say mental illness or bad influence on him. People, he was a good kid, and then had some bad influence or what have you. So that's I've always been curious about. Is there a such thing as white guilt? Because I never hear a whole bunch of white people come out and go, "Oh my God," and run to the other communities and go, "I'm so sorry that our white person did this. I'm so sorry you had to experience this." I'm starting to hear it more now.
Yeah.
That we're, as we as things are shifting and changing. We have videos and it's right in people's faces, and they're going through the process of processing all of this and shifting and how they relate to it. So I do hear it more now, but before it was like, nah, everything, we take on ownership of the whole, but again, for the purposes of protection.
Right.
To see just what's coming towards us, what's coming.
When you said the other night, I can't remember if it was in the second or the third, but about when I mentioned Trayvon Martin being sort of the beginning for me and how I was so disturbed by his mother's calmness. Like, I don't think I could do that. And then and then I had the epiphany like that she has to. And you said she's standing up there keeping her calm because she wants to protect the whole community. So if whenever bad things happen, everybody's going to catch the flack for it. I can't remember. So I haven't talked about this, but I used to have some pretty significant memory issues. So sometimes it's hard to remember before I got that fixed. But I can't remember ever being in a place, but I know that I was, where I would see that a crime happened and I would, like that person was an other, right? And in the process of doing the work that I have done, it's sort of shifted now that, like when I remember there was a really horrible crime that happened in my community in Tennessee, and it was this family that we knew. And the first thing I thought when I saw it, because they was Spanish speaking man, and I knew that they were here, immigrated from somewhere, the kids translated for them, but like I didn't know. And my very first thought was, please let them be documented. Please let them be documented. Please let them be documented, because I didn't want that to, like, all undocumented people to be the othered by this crime. And I knew that it would be. I knew that this would be held up as like proof that the immigration is a problem, right? Especially undocumented immigration. Like I knew that that was what that would mean. And then there was a crime here, just a really violent thing that happened at the Mall of America once. And the person that created that situation, who was also struggling with mental illness, but was a Muslim man. And I was like, please don't let him be a Muslim. Please don't let him be a Muslim, because I wasn't thinking those people, but I knew a lot of people were. And I assume that I knew that because that's how I used to think, even though I don't remember like actively having those thoughts. And so as I've learned more, and again, back to the humanizing people that I'm, obviously didn't well enough in the past. I'm starting to see that's my fears. I don't want everyone to have to suffer the consequences of this one person's behavior, because white people don't do that. We don't do that, except like when mentally, people with mental illness do something, then every person with mental illness is a dangerous person. Like that's, it's just, you have to be a really oppressed group. If one, gay person does something, then like all gay people or something, and so it's like, if we're in a minority group of some sort, we will reject one another even, but as a whole, we don't take responsibility for any other white person's actions, but we blame all of another group for one person's actions.
Well, that's one of the things that allows supremacy to or racism to exist, is because you have to be supreme. And somebody got to make you supreme. You can't be supreme if you're all by yourself, right? Who you gonna be supreme over? So you got to be able to blame somebody. You got to be able to look at somebody and say they are worse. They're more violent. They're more this. They're more that, right? In order to deflect and not be able to see self. When you just brought up the Spanish speaking family, first thing I thought of is, I just saw the headlines that the courts, I can't remember which court, I think it was a federal judge just passed that they have to let the peoples of Mexican descent out of those cages because of COVID-19. We seem to have forgotten that there are still children and women and men in cages and concentration camp in the United States. Okay. While we're all arguing and talking about bringing down Confederate monuments and that they are part of a heritage and a beautiful history, we have concentration camps in the United States. And I don't care how you try to slice it, whether you try to say, but they're well taken care of, or what. If that's the case, put your kids in there. How about that?
They are not well taken care of. Like, come on now.
If you think it's a hotel and it's better than where they came from, put your kids in there. Put your grandkids in there. And let's see what you think about that. But yeah, it just reminded me that a judge had to say to our government in 2020, hey, there's a pandemic going on. Perhaps you should let your prisoners, your hostages, those who you are terrorizing, out of the concentration camp. What?
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those are the kind of things that privilege allows you to not think about. And how long have they been there now?
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
we've gone on about our business. We've gone on about, Yeah. Why? Because they're not white kids.
Right. And Amy just pointed out that the ruling only applied to the kids. And I'm guessing that that's because they can't be called like criminal, but the adults who came here by choice probably are still being held as the other criminals in our society are still being held. Yeah.
Well,
so that's sickening.
Like if you're black or brown, I mean, your skin is criminalized anyway. So ridiculous, but anyway.
Yeah. So one place that I've seen white guilt discussed is in the context of the messiness that white women do as they start to learn about the system and oppression. And there's a lot of drama is the word that you've used earlier in the week. And I see and hear from clients, and I know probably did myself years ago, sort of have this thing we call guilt. Oh, I just feel so guilty. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like you aren't single-handedly, like, unless you are, but you're not like single-handedly keeping the system together by yourself, So like, it feels a bit like it feels like a distraction. And it feels like a technique to continue to center ourselves in the experience of unpacking racism. It's like we get to focus on our heavy feelings instead of centering Black people while we're learning about what has been done and what we have done to them.
That's why I'm so excited about this program, because
Yeah.
you won't
Okay.
yeah. And I think that's part of the issue. That's that the part of the issue is the misdirection, right?
Mhm.
It's the misdirection. It's the and the thing is I get it. Like, you didn't prepare for this.
Right.
So you don't know which direction. I believe it's a misdirection, but I do believe that it's time to start having the conversation differently, and for us to get focus on the main thing and keep the main thing the main thing. One thing is that it's the way that we discuss racism. You know, we discuss a thing that we don't even know what it is, what it's made out of, what it's
Right.
whatever. So even the feelings, the heavy feelings and stuff, I'm not even sure where those come from. And many white went, well, I am, but I'm just saying rhetorically. I'm not sure, but I have an idea of the different places
Right.
that it come from, right? But it is unique to each person. And I think that most of the time they think that everybody's feeling like them.
Yeah.
But I think it's unique to every person because, one, nobody's defining it the same way. Nobody even really understands it. Not many, I should say. Nobody is a sweeping term, but not many white women even understand it, especially the ones who just opened their eyes because of these videos. Don't even understand what it is, right? They just understand that they hated what they saw in the video, and that they think it's wrong, and it's horrible for people to be treated that way, and they couldn't imagine if it was one of their kids, and then that's about it. But just in that, there's a lot of feeling in that. If you can
Oh,
imagine
yeah.
one of your kids, or you've seen another human being been treated that way, and so there's a lot of feeling in that gets stirred up anyway, right? So um and I think that's really what white women are dealing with, and there is something to that work as well. However, we need to go down two roads at the same time, and they're parallel to each other. And so that's one of the reasons why I created this program, is because I've got to get you on that other road as well. Like, we've got to go both of these roads, otherwise you're not useful at all. Like, it's just you're just spinning in your own feelings, and
Right.
guess what, they gonna keep coming. They gonna keep coming, like,
Yeah.
because you're gonna see tomorrow, and then you're gonna hear something the next day, and then somebody gonna say something the next day, and so those things, the feelings are gonna keep coming. So, one, understanding how to process that, so that
Mhm.
you can get that down to the point where you can process it very gracefully while in movement.
Mhm.
Get that? While in movement,
Right.
right? So we
Right.
got on two roads at the same time, both going parallel to each other. And the other one is strategic movement, understanding why you're even moving, like why,
Mhm.
where, what, how. All of that is important, so that you can keep focused. If you go off of the feelings, right? Those are gonna either tire you out after a while or die down after a while, until the next video, right? And
And
then
then
it sends you
circle
up,
again.
and you go through it until the next video. And the whole time you've done absolutely nothing to further the cause towards the goal of abolishing anything or dismantling anything or healing
Right.
anything. So being able to walk both of those roads at the same time is very important. And I think it's just that the the conversation thus far has been more of a conversation out of shock,
Yeah.
and out of the initial impact of the feelings.
Yeah.
And so it's been a debate about stuff that really doesn't matter. It's been and misinformed.
Right.
Even how you debate is misinformed. How you speak is misinformed. But you can only go off of what you know. You can
Right.
only go off of what you understand, right? And the only thing that you know, and not even understand, but the only thing that you know is, I feel horrible. So that's what your conversation going to be around all the time. Is that's going to bleed into the conversation? Is just, I feel horrible.
Yeah.
I feel horrible. I feel horrible. This is horrible. My heart breaks. My heart breaks. This is horrible. But I mean, you can only hold that conversation for so long. So yeah, definitely. White girl. I'm gonna read you what I wrote.
Great.
A couple. Look at you being messy. Okay. I wrote this back in, I don't know. I think it was 2016. Everything revolved around 2016.
Yeah.
Or it's close to not far after 2016 anyway. But, and I know some white women may feel this way as well, right? And I believe those are the women who will sign up for this program.
Okay. And what is this that you're reading us? Something you wrote.
Something I wrote.
All right.
I think I named it, I am a better woman than that. So if you really knew me, you know that I can't help but face that monster head on when I see injustice. Wait a minute. If you really knew me, you'd know that I can't help but face that monster head on when I see injustice and crimes against being. I throw caution to the wind and type or talk until my heart and soul allows me to go silent. Not too long ago, while discussing such a topic with women I had just met, one of the women informed me that it was obvious that I want and need to be heard because I repeat myself as if I thought I wasn't while standing on my soapbox. My response was quick and clear to me. My speaking is not dependent on your hearing. Mm-hmm. You see, I speak not because someone need to hear it. I speak because I need to hear me. I have spent the greater part of my life working on bringing more of the parts of me I enjoy out and managing the parts of me that leave me feeling worthless. I don't spend my life trying to see the best in you anymore. I need to see the best in me. Seeing the best in you don't keep me from falling into the depths of depression. Seeing the best in me does. I need to know by seeing and hearing myself that I would not have been one of those people who stood silent in Nazi Germany. I need to know that I would not have been one of those wives who read her Bible while her slave owner husband was raping the wives of his slaves. I need to know that I would not have been one of the guards who excused away their action with, "That's how I was trained." I need to know that I would not have been the one telling the abused that God requires you to submit to those in authority and pray for your leaders. I need to know the best parts of me, to know that I am a better woman than that. Although I practice the art of sacred selfishness, I, like you, want to know that I am not alone. So I welcome you into my life as I learn, express, and expand into more of myself, my heart, my soul. So the women who I believe will sign up for this program are women who need to know that they are better than that. Mm. They want to know that they are better. They want to prove to themselves that they would not have been the slave owner's wife. Yeah. That sat and knitted or read her Bible while hearing screams beneath her bedroom. Yeah. So those are the women that I'm calling out right now for this program, are ones that say, no, I see myself higher than that. I see myself better than that, right? I have more humanity than that. I have more compassion than that. And I want to prove to myself through action that what I believe myself to be, I am. Those are the women that I'm talking to. So if you're one of those women who continues to say things like, I'm a good person, I love everybody, I'm not, prove it to yourself.
Yeah.
Come and do this work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And there was a conversation that you and Leah had where you said, or she said, I'm not sure what led into this, but she said something about if her ancestors or whoever the people were that were the women were that were married to slave owners, and like if they had been strong enough to leave, and you were like, tell me more about that, if they had been, you know. And I think that's the collision of that patriarchy, you know, smash the patriarchy, F the patriarchy. I'm trying to be nice because you're here. You know, like that we're so obsessed with, singularly obsessed with dismantling the one system that oppresses us, that we overlook.
No, you don't overlook it.
No, we prioritize that work over the patriarchy work. We for sure choose that.
You do choose that, but you don't overlook the other, because you are the inheritance of the other. When the patriarchy gets out the way, then now you're in charge and you get ownership of the slaves. Right. So it is very much a systematic thing.
Yeah.
And so that's why when Leah said that, I was like, nah, I don't believe.
I know. You were like, let's talk about that. Yeah.
No. Because then that will be taking away your inheritance as the white woman.
Well, and I think that's what we think, right? That's what she was saying, is like that she couldn't leave because how would she support herself? How would she support her children? She wouldn't have even been allowed to take her children back then. But what that is, that thing that can't, is I'll lose my way of being safe in the world. I'll lose my inheritance.
I'll lose my wealth.
Yep. My comfort. My safety.
I'll lose my big house. I'll lose my servants. I'll lose there's some comforts to that.
Oh, many.
And so, I you know, and those are things that, and I'm telling you, now that kind of stuff you're going to have to work on in this program. Right. Because we have to face the comforts that some things bring us, because the truth is there is benefit to racism. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it would have been abolished by now. There is benefit.
Yes. And go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And there aren't many people, and I don't care who you are, how kind you are, who turn down benefit for anything. Okay. Yeah. And I don't care what color you are. There are many people who turn away from benefit, from comfort, right? From security, from pleasantries.
Yeah.
Being able to vacation wherever they want, or call somebody to bring their food when they want. Like that's the American dream, right? That's where everybody's trying to get to where your time is yours because you have other people to do everything for you, and so you can leisure. And that's a part of the conversation as well, you know. And having to look at what that looks like and face that and how that has shown up in every area, right? And that's not even necessarily a color thing at all. That has to do with everybody, because in this there are people who are benefiting, right? There are people who are benefiting who it's not in their best interest when it comes to economics to have this structure go away.
Absolutely. And I want to say that I have a client that I've worked with for a long time who, I guess the uprising that started here in the protests after George Floyd was killed happened in her neighborhood, and it on her street, you know, and it was her entrance into this work. And she said to me, I feel so anxious because like we're 2 or 3 weeks into this and we're having a conversation. She said, I feel so anxious. And I said, what you're feeling is the loss of the illusion of safety that you have had your whole life because of your whiteness. Because just this one time in your whole life experience, it might be your house that's burned down. It might be you that gets arrested. It might be you that gets assaulted. It might be you that can't call the police because now you know that your neighbors are at risk if you call the police. And I think that you're talking about leisure and you're talking about all these other legitimate games. But I think that really when people started saying abolish the police, and then white women were like, whoa, clutching our pearls, because what we can do is call the police to fix our problems.
Oh, we and Karens and them Amy's and yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Right. And so we, for her to recognize that vibration in her body, that anxiety was just a leveling of this inequity in our society. And that in order to protect the neighbors that she has now come to connect with and to love and to want to protect, she's going to need to lower her privilege. She's going to have to not call the police when she's scared. And she was just vibrating. And I think that as much as that's a product of our privilege and the dismantling of white supremacy and all that's necessary, like I was excited for her to say that and to own that. She took it.
But that's sucky though.
Right.
It's sucky that you even have to be put in that, for any person, right? Everybody wants to be able to feel safe.
Right.
Everybody does. So for her not to be able to feel safe is sucky.
Yes.
And the messed upness or the I am assaulting the English language right now. Like
it's
I am
okay.
bashing it up. No, my son gonna talk about me. He said I get lazy with my language. He's like, you get lazy with your language and you be I'm like, so people know I'm real. How about that?
Yes. Right.
Anyway, even knowing how horrible the system is, it doesn't negate the right for people to feel safe, right?
But for us to have safety
at the same time, right?
At your expense,
right? Well, this is the thing that should not be,
right?
Agreed. You're supposed to be able to be safe, though, right? You should be able to be safe without it and not have to worry about a cop coming and killing a Black person,
right?
So yeah, it's just a mess, is what it is,
right?
It's a mess.
If more people can source that courage or integrity or whatever it takes to say, if this is the only way you can police at the expense of my Black neighbors, then you don't get to come here and police.
Yeah, I hope all the white people around me say that. I don't think they will, though, girl. Be honest.
There are not enough people in my camp, but we're working on it.
If I gotta look around where I'm at, nah.
Yeah.
Nah. Yeah. So, but yeah, it is that is, if you have Black neighbors, I hope that you are sensitive to that as a white woman, that you don't frivolously call on your man, on the man to come out and handle something that could be handled with a conversation or handled with you know what I mean? Now, of course, if somebody really, my thing is get to know your Black neighbors and become a community. Then you don't need the police to come up in there anyway. Because if something go down, you yell for your neighbors and everybody come. How about
And that's
that?
what's happening here. I mean, that's what's happening. We bought this house maybe 10 days before George Floyd was killed, and like when everything started here, we have a group chat with 15 of our neighbors. When would that ever have happened?
Mm-hmm.
Ever? When would I ever have been able to say, hey, something scary has happened in my backyard, can somebody come over, and then be there right away? Like, my neighbors can get here faster than the police can get here. And this is
what made your and okay, so I'll start this off. I'll just give you some background why I'm curious about this.
Yeah.
Is because our neighbors, like we had a neighbor come over and talk to us too, but in the context of nothing about George Floyd, but more so of if rioters come over here, we got our gun, and so if you hear shooting, you know who it is, right? First of all, it was, to me, it was implied that it was going to be Black people, coming.
Right.
I'm like, first of all, I don't know what Black person gonna come all the way out here, because don't nobody come out here by, ain't nobody trying to come out here.
Yeah.
However, again, I'm looking at her like, okay, so is this a standalone? Like, people are rioting for no reason? Like, is this like something that just popped up that, that was one of my thoughts. It's like, are you insinuating that people are just walking around rioting? And then we heard from another neighbor, a Black neighbor. My husband, I heard from this neighbor, and the Black neighbor told my husband it was a group of white people who were going to meet and said that they're taking their neighborhoods back, and they were the ones who was going to come to the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. One by one. It was so interesting, all in the same day.
Right.
But that was their thing, right? The white neighbor's thing was, if somebody come near my porch, I'm shooting, and just so you know, I'm going, right? White people with guns. And the population out here tells you who it's going to be. Right. Like, just the population itself tells you who it's going to be. Right. But that was the reason for neighborly connection. Is just to, and again, the assumption that if you're living by me, you must think like me, and you must be like us. You must have assimilated. Therefore I don't see color, because obviously I would hope that was what the deal was, is that I don't see color, because if you blatantly say something to me without acknowledging what's going on in the world and how it may affect me, and you're talking to a Black person, you do that, that's way worse, I think, than maybe you just one of those who don't see color, right? And so to you, but yeah. So what was the energy of bringing your neighbors together? Was it to protect each other from what? And like, what did that mean?
So this was a few days into the protests, and there was chatter about outside instigators coming in and starting trouble to stoke the racial.
Who was outside instigators, girl?
White people. Okay. Trying to make Black people look bad.
They get to be called outside instigators. You notice
that? Well, we have plenty of white people here too that were, but like there was
outside instigators. But then when they put the camera on Black people, they say rioters. And then they have the white people coming in, it's outside instigators. If they think it's Black people that's gonna come in, first of all, I don't know very many Black people who travel to somewhere to do things like that. But anyway, if they think Black people coming in, when they did, they thought, because remember at the beginning of the riots, they thought that Black people were going to come in, and they called them thugs.
Oh, I didn't remember that. That didn't happen here. But
like, if thugs come in and thugs are coming in, all that. But then when they said it was Antifa, then they said outside instigators.
Oh yeah. So these were like these are groups of white supremacists who were bringing their guns and their trouble and coming into our neighborhoods. And one of the, Amy said, or criminals, that one of our block was one of the places that they had designated in this group that they were going to meet. And that's what prompted the people to just sort of get on a thread. The concern being that if people came into our neighborhood, we did not want basically the intention was, again, all chatter, but like the intention was to come here and make it worse what was happening and to give, the people that were appropriately rioting a bad, image, or to spark more trouble. And our neighbors, because again, it's not, we have a lot of diversity, and, I was like, we have a basement. We can maybe hide people in our basement if we need to, I was like, I don't know how to be helpful, but we were basically, what I was hearing from people is like, we're going to make that not happen. This is not what they're going to make happen in our neighborhood.
I was just wondering if there was any conclusions jumped to who would be coming. You know what I mean?
It was totally just following white people.
Yeah, here it was, and it to me it sounded like if there was a jumping to a conclusion. All of the chatter on the the neighbor website, how everybody's connected through, all of the chatter was insinuating that it was going to be Black people. Nobody jumped to the conclusion that it would be outsiders, or that they would be white, or that they would be some kind of group effort from, it was just an assumption that because this was a Black man who got killed, it would be Black people who would start tearing shit up and walking through your neighborhood and trying to break in your house, I guess.
Yeah. And that's funny because like here, and I live in amongst pretty awake, and liberal-minded people. And so we were sort of the other camp where we were like, maybe it needs to be burned down. Like, that third, police precinct was responsible for an extraordinary amount of harm done to Black and brown people in our community. And so when it got burned, I was like, all right, that's fair. But that we're like, I think we're just like right in that place in Minneapolis, and it's different.
Yeah. Y'all taking a turn.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I see the time. We've been here a minute, and I just want to get to sort of revisit as we close like you're starting on the 1st with your program. All of the things that we've talked about in these 4 evenings together are the sort of, if this resonates for you, then this program would be useful. But I want to say again that there are 2 previous series that you've done with Amy and with Leah, and they're available as this will be soon, at hardconversations.live, LIVE. And then we have your link to your program in the post. And then what else do you want us to know?
And you can follow me now. I changed the setting on my, I didn't realize I didn't have it on there, but I changed the setting on my page, and as well as my Queen Talks page. You can follow me there too. But yeah, I just, and if you are even on the cusp of thinking, I think I'm going to sign up, or I'm planning on signing up, please do, because there is some pre-work that's going to take you at least a day. So I want you to get in there, start getting your feet wet, because there is some pre-work to do to prepare yourself to go into the work. And we're starting into the work on the 1st.
Great.
So sign up today.
My Unrulies are known for being last minute signups. So she's talking to all of you. She's saying, don't wait till the last minute. This is not Christy's land. And you should totally just go ahead and commit.
Yeah, because you need to do some pre-work and prepare yourself for this work. And I think that is it. But tomorrow night we'll be on again and it'll be posted on. You said you can't do tomorrow night, right?
Right. I can do Monday.
It's going to be posted. We're still going to tag her. We're going to tag
Please.
her page so that it shows up on her page too.
Yeah.
So you can come right back to her page and see tomorrow night, as well as on Amy's page and Leah's page. Both of them will be joining me. And it'll be on my page as well. So we'll do tomorrow night, Sunday night, and then Monday night. And you'll be back with us, Christy, on Monday night, right? And what we'll do is all three of us, we'll just kind of recap and just talk about things from all of the series, that we want to touch on or explore a little bit more, or just chat about a little bit more. So I hope you guys join us again tomorrow night, as well as Monday night, and sign up for the program. Don't wait till the last minute. And if I get to over the 24, then what I'll do is I'll just create a second group.
Good.
Okay.
Yes. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much. This has been really great, and I will see you on Monday. And I just want to say to everybody who's been watching, we haven't had a lot of people here when we were live because I sucked at getting it visibility, and I'll work on that. But there's been a lot of views after the fact, and so I know people are still going to do this, and I'm going to send another email out to my list with the 4 chats, inviting them to come again Sunday and Monday. But I just wanted to say thank you for your time. It has meant the world to me. And then maybe we can talk about that PayPal and that Cash App.
Amy has my Cash App. Amy is on it today. Do you know Amy went back and found my writing in another?
I just saw. Yes.
That girl, man, she like the FBI, like for real. She went back and found it, but she has my Cash App, and I think she has, and my PayPal is, my email is queen@queenwheeler.com.
Oh, great. Okay, perfect.
PayPal that way. Yeah.
Good. All right. Queen at Queen Wheeler. And then Amy says that Amy has the Cash App. So you're going to link to that. And then I'd like to see if we can, Amy says she wants to be Nancy Drew.
Oh, my Cash App is the $Queen E. That's my little initial, Wheeler. So,
okay. Yeah. Great. Wonderful. All right. I will get those added to our posts.
Thank you.
And if you're not going to sign up for the workshop yet for some reason, if the timing isn't right for you, then definitely, absolutely do the right thing and help me support Queen and thank her for her time. So thank you, Queen Wheeler. You have been a pleasure.
Okay, hold up. Amy, Cash App is Queen E. No, the $Queen E Wheeler.
There you go.
I don't know if it'll do my email as well, Amy. But anyway, I don't think it'll do my email too. But I'm not. I guess we could talk about that offline instead of like doing it on this.
We'll get it. We'll get it fixed. Oh, she fixed it. Thank you, Amy. All right. We will get that done. Thank you so much, Queen. I'll see you Monday night.
Okay. Thank you. Good night.